Hello. Hello, hello, hello. This is an, well, dare I say it, an impromptu stream. An impromptu stream. I'm just going to check the audio levels and everything are correct as I'm setting up here, and then I will get into what exactly I'm doing, why I'm doing what I'm doing right now.
Balance to get after the biggest goal that you've had.
Okay. Right. I guess here we go. Don't like how that is. Hold on, let me sort my camera. So it's really bugging me out right now. That'll do. Right, okay. Hello. This is my reaction to Mentality, which is a discussion that Nick has just uploaded. Or just a couple of hours ago now. 9 hours ago. I was about to sleep just now. And I pulled up this on my phone and I watched the first 5 minutes, and honestly I think I have some stuff to add and contribute with my own to this discussion. Now obviously moving forward in the video I don't know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rewatch the initial first couple of minutes and of course the rest of it as well, and pause it and talk about my own experiences, obviously in relation to Mentality and speedrunning and being at the very, very top level. Where I come from is obviously slightly different to Nick. I've been in the Mario Kart space for over a decade now, but I haven't been at such a high level for all that time. I've obviously wanted to time trial and push my times down, but I've never really seriously considered going for a world record until earlier this year, where I sat and did a marathon. Big part of that was obviously the mentality of it, which of course I will be discussing in the upcoming Road to World Record like marathon overview video, which has been kind of partially scripted. Another great reason why I think going through this video and kind of discussing my own experience with mentality in this game specifically is it will help me formulate thoughts to then input into the script of that video. That being said, obviously this is Nick's video. Full credit to Nick. I don't know any of this. He's put this together, and I'm just here reacting to it. What's up, EGT? How you doing, Yoshidor? So I have watched the first, 4.5, 5 minutes, but that was on my phone in bed. So here we go.
If you click on this video,
here we go.
Chances are you're very interested in speedrunning.
I am.
Especially when it
I
comes
definitely
to
am.
the top level of speedrunning when achieving world records. Well, in today's video, we're having a very deep discussion on what I feel is the
video sounds really
factor
low. Okay.
separating becoming great versus the best in the
Is that better?
world at a speedrun for world records and video gaming. So, in case you're new to my channel, my name is nmeade, and I'm the former #1 overall time trial champion for
A little more. Okay. Let me do this. It just means I'm gonna have to turn my own sound down. Just I'm not deafening myself.
Mario Kart Wii. And during my time, apart from
that
being the
good?
best
Yeah or
time
no?
trialer in
Yeah
the
or no?
game,
Yeah or no?
I did set a lot of world records during my prime back in the day. so I know a thing or two.
Feel free to say
And
a tiny bit more.
in the background here is going to be some of my world record history playing.
Same a
as
little
we
more,
kind
okay.
of discuss different things about mentality and
good
how
boy.
that's going to help you with breaking world records and speedrunning. I have a couple of notes on the side just to keep ourselves on track here, but still it's not really a scripted video. I think it'll be the most authentic take that I have on the topic here. So first off,
That's good.
you have
Perfect,
to know
perfect,
your
perfect.
why with this.
I'm actually
You
going
know,
to move the
what
chat
is
as
gonna
well, just so it's
make
not
it,
in the way
you know,
of...
to invest all this time beyond just surface level entry into speedrunning,
the stuff.
you have to have it worthwhile to sacrifice so much time to get to the top level for performing world record runs. And
Time is a big factor, yeah.
A little bit of a background for me for my why. So I started, you know, speedrunning endeavors for Mario Kart Wii in 2008. Before that point, I was competing in Guitar Hero of all games for top scores for overall
This surprised me
ranks
when I
in
first
that
heard it.
game. And my
Guitar Hero
why
is like-
was, even when I was young,
Back in the day, man,
I
Guitar Hero
wanted
was
to
good.
become the best at a video game in general. And so
Spamming
at the
Hydra, I've
time,
got my tea.
I thought I
I've got
could
my tea.
excel to the highest level at Guitar Hero when I was 12 to 14 years old. That didn't pan out. I got pretty good, but it was pretty clear that wasn't for me. And so I accidentally stumbled upon what will be for Mario Kart Wii. So August 14,
Looks
2008,
like a Guitar Hero
the
festival. What does that
fateful
even
day, I
mean?
join a worldwide and I see there's clan tags, there's clans for Mario Kart Wii of all things. And eventually, you know, to get good at the game, you must time trial, practice your lines, different techniques, and so on. And so I got caught with the bug there. I quickly joined the
Bro, it's like
players
Limp Jimmy
page,
Neutron.
saw all the ranks,
Nah, it doesn't have the hair for
and
it.
eventually I thought I could become the best to get world records, let alone eventually become the overall champion. And so my
That's
why
very cool.
was so deeply rooted and just wanting to be the best in the world at something in gaming. And so that allowed me to stick out long periods of grinds and frustrations and wanting to quit the game altogether multiple times.
I will... Wait, why is this? First of all, let's fix this, shall we? Let's fix that. There we go. Now I'm somewhat straight. I want to touch on my why. I feel like I'm just going to like bounce basically off of what nmeade said. He jumped from Guitar Hero 2 to Mario Kart Wii. I picked up Mario Kart Wii, obviously, as a kid, casually with family. Led me to searching YouTube for shortcuts, which led me to discovering Clan Wars, like the old Troy Clan Wars. I thought they were so sick, and it got me into the competitive side of this game. That being said, I never thought I was good enough, and I still don't, to play online at that level. So it drew me to time trials. It drew me to time trials and drew me to Discord and Skype communities surrounding, you know, getting better at the game. I remember having a couple of rivalries with different players in the community over time. Like Deja, there was a couple of years ago, and basically every time I'd have a rivalry, they'd quickly surpass my skill level, and I wouldn't stick it out. Until obviously recently, when I've come back to this game and basically had nothing to lose. You know, I've taken long periods of breaks from this game. I came back and I was like, do you know what? I when I'm next done with this game, I want to be done with this game. I don't want a reason to be able to say that I need to come back to it. And that led me to setting my own goals in the game. And obviously, some of you guys know those goals. You've got the 32 track sub 1 hour. We've got, you know, playing online more, getting all the characters out of the way in Mogies. And of course, big one, getting that world record. That drive to basically be like almost complete the game. Like a drive to complete every achievement in the game, in a sense, like properly 100%ing it. In the same way that like getting quad 9s back in the day was like a really big thing, right? That drive to complete this game is my why.
Even just kind of jumping around a little bit, there was a time where I was probably maybe top 50 in the game for Mario Kart Wii, or top 40 around there. And I just one night
I'm not sure
I
yet,
totally
EGT.
freaked out. I had this big
There's a
fail
chance that I'll
on
play after,
Mooma
to be fair.
Meadows of Old Tracks.
But we'll see how I'm feeling.
And I wanted to delete my entire timesheet and just be done with the game and walk away and just be done with it all, you know?
Okay. That's weird, because I actually, low-key, didn't remember he said that. Yeah, very, very, very similar to me. Like, complete the game, in a sense, and just walk away. I have very, like, having ADHD, being, like, who I am, I want to set my eyes, get set on something. I need to see it through to completion before I move on. And this game has been the biggest time sink for me of my life so far. Obviously, not realizing that until very recently. In the fact that actually, once I am done with this game, I can walk away, I can move on to other projects, and I can be happy without touching this game again. Whether that ends up happening or not, I'm not so sure yet.
But I chose not
No,
to.
I started playing back in like
and
2012-ish,
It's just
I
funny
think.
how the story goes that I achieved as much as I did after that point. But again, I even wrote down here too, if the endeavor doesn't mean enough to you, you're not going to stick with it for the long term. So, you know, the
Completely agree.
idea of excelling at the top level
Completely
may be
agree.
appealing to you, but maybe the game you're trying to run, whether it's time trials or Mario Kart games, or longer form speedruns for other games, maybe it's just not the game for you to pursue. Maybe you can excel at something different in the gaming sphere. But even
that rings true. I don't think just in the gaming sphere, but in anything you want to excel at, you have to first and foremost choose something that you're happy to stick with, right? That you're happy to put your 10,000 hours into to become the expert in. It's why when I hop to other games or hop to other hobbies, if I'm not enjoying them, I won't stick with them because they don't make me happy, they don't bring me joy, they don't bring me fulfillment. Mario Kart Wii, obviously, every time I've taken a break from it, there's this itch that I'm like, okay, when I have a bit more time in my life, when I'm done with this like project at work, I can go back to Mario Kart Wii and I can have this overarching project to focus on and fulfill me in some way, right? Hey Sparky, yeah, I believe he did just say sphere, but I'm schmoovin' with it. I'm schmoovin'.
still, it has to be worthwhile and meaningful to you because, as you're going to see, this takes
There it is.
a disgusting amount of time, effort to get to this point.
Yeah.
For me, I micromanaged.
I think it's all about how your own feelings project onto the activity that you're pursuing, right? Because if you don't have that joy, that drive in your heart, then it's just gonna fall flat.
My day when I was younger to try to maximize the amount of free time that I had to physically play in game to get to my goals. No balance at all. But again, to become great and
No
the
balance
best
in
at
Mario Kart
something,
Wii.
balance really is thrown out the window for most people. I'm actually interested to see if anyone that's watching this has performed at the highest level in any type of speed run. Do you relate with this? Do you find that you've had to
Okay.
sacrifice balance to get after the biggest goal that you've had? Because for me, I had to.
Yes. Absolutely yes. Of course. Anyone that knows me, anyone who watched that marathon stream, anyone who knows me before that and after as well, knows that to achieve the world record on NC4 Bowser's Castle, I had to give up everything. I fully stopped working for like two full weeks. And then even on week 3 of the marathon, I did like an hour of work a day because I was like forced into by chat. This comment right here is what made me stop watching this video in bed, hop on stream, and want to talk about my views on this video so far, and obviously the rest of it as well. Because overwhelmingly, the answer is obviously yes. I feel like it's almost more rewarding though to fully dedicate yourself to a single task, right? To be obsessed, to be driven to complete that goal, no matter what. Potentially to my detriment. But do you know what? It worked. I've achieved my goal, and maybe it's the ADHD talking, but I need to focus. How I work is I get hyper fixated on achieving a certain thing, and for the longest time that's been either a time on a track or getting world record, or not as often, but a certain thing to do with work, or okay, I'm going to respray my car in the next month, or like get rid of all the rust on the MR2. All of these things, or like learn this thing on guitar, like learn this song. All of these things, it's all about, for me, sticking with something until I see it through, no matter the detriment to me and my mental health and my sleep schedule. So it's worked for me so far, and whilst I'm young and I can get away with sleeping less or like sleeping irregularly and maybe putting my health aside sometimes in order to achieve what I want to achieve and give me a dopamine hit, I feel like it's overall in my life more beneficial to try and reach the goals I want to whilst I can. To be Logan V2, maybe not quite Logan V2.
It was very clear because I put in so much more time than a lot of the player base at the very beginning, and I feel like I have, at least to some degree, a natural talent for the game. But really what drove me a lot in the very beginning was the amount of time investment I was willing to do. Obviously, I was in high school, had no job, no real-life commitments. It was just school, exams, papers, and Mario Kart. So I would finish every...
I was even worse than this. But the thing was, back when I was in school, I didn't focus on getting better at the game. I just focused on playing the game. I would complete homework and stuff on the bus, so I had time at home to play Mario Kart Wii. It was bad at some points, but it got me to where I am.
And studying at school, I would come home, get a snack, and time travel and play until I go to bed. That's just the honest truth of it all.
It's true.
And that's how I excelled really quickly, honestly. It was just a pure time investment. Clearly, there are people that can be more naturally gifted and talented, and when they also apply the time, they exponentially reach and surpass other people in the player base. So kind of moving on to different traits.
I think before moving on from that, hard work beats talent every time. You can start talented, but like naturally gifted at a game or a hobby or a skill, whatever. But if you don't put the time in, the people that do put the time in will surpass you eventually. So even if you have that natural skill, you do need to put the time in. It's just a natural thing. New gen Mario Kart will be genetically modified. Can't wait. Can't wait to have AI hands. Let's go.
Traits that will help you excel at the highest level. I have a couple of them listed down here. So the first one is going to be patience. So especially with speed running, I'm sure if you guys have done time trials or any other type of speed running in the past, you understand this is a very patient game you must play to be able to get after new personal bests. And
I don't think there's going to be much to add to this
if you don't have patience, especially for something like this, where this is individual courses, mostly 2 minutes or less on average, very brutal, very, very brutal form of speed running. Very reset heavy. You could go 5+ hours of a session, not get to lap 3 sometimes. No new personal best splits. No new PBs at all. That is discouraging. It feels like it's a waste of your time. But it's all about how you're thinking about how you're utilizing your time and how it's helping you for the future. Because at least in my opinion, a part of the mentality is you have to get through the bad sessions that you have to get to the better sessions. And even if you're kind of spending...
100%, 100%. This was my mentality after the horror show that was the 213 bowler drought on like there was it day 12 and 13 or day 13 and 14 of the marathon. The patience required to stick that out, and that's a very specific niche in the speed running of this game. Like, that's even more so reset heavy than even the other most reset heavy tracks, right? Cooper Cape's a very reset heavy track because of the shroomless, but it's not resetting every 6 seconds because you're not clipping a pole. But it does suck, and it's rough, and patience is a massive thing that I agree.
Spinning your wheels, no pun
what's good, Drew?
intended, but
Hello.
if you're spinning your wheels in your sessions, I still feel like it's not completely unproductive because you're still utilizing your time to be just practicing motions and techniques. Because actually,
a lot of this game is about muscle
consistency
memory.
that I wrote down. So if you play only once every 1 or 2 weeks or so, like I do now, honestly, at this point, many years later, then of course you're not going to be as consistent in the end, and your rate of improvement will not be as quickly as if you could pour several hours every single day, as an example.
Yeah. This is just going to be me agreeing with Nick again, obviously. This really fueled my grind throughout the end of November and December last year on RBC. Being committed to playing at least 2 or 3 hours every day. Regardless of whatever else I had going on in my life at that point, sitting down, finding the time to play 2 or 3 hours, and obviously that culminated in me being frustrated and not achieving my goals. So I was like, "Fuck it, I'll take it to the next level. I'll sit down and be as consistent as I possibly can, playing solely, not just solely the game, but solely this track for." Upwards of 12 hours a day.
So my rate of improvement was exponential for quite a while back in my prime because I was playing at least 8 hours or more a day. So it makes sense. The more time you're physically practicing the act and making attempts, naturally you're probably going to be making more progress, right?
Yeah. This is why when I become obsessed with the track, when I get into the track and really feeling it and enjoying it, you'll see my streams go from, even Cooper Cape is a massive example of it. My streams go from, okay, day one I practice for track hop, I practice with Cooper Cape for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Following day, 3 hours. Day after, 9. Because I was feeling it. And then I got like 9 hours in a 6-hour session and a 5-hour session. Eventually that ended in me not, guessing what I wanted, right? Yo, what's up, Ace? What's up? Welcome on, Raiders. How you doing? I don't know what you were playing, but I hope it was good. Was it DDR? Falco comes in, drops the high Pookie, and then self-timeout. Bye-bye. Wait. Boom. DDR, did you get any good laps, bro? I feel like it's going to be like a 3-hour stream talking about like a 40-minute video. But I feel like it's needed. For those who don't know who are just coming in from Ace's stream, welcome, first of all. Hope you're doing well today. This is the YouTube video Mentality, as you can see here, by the lovely Nicholas nmeade. Obviously, you know Nick, if you've been around this community. I feel like I have an insight and want to give my perspective on a lot of what's been said already and going forward, just because of my journey, especially at the start of this year, to achieving a world record in this game. The mentality shift from when he was peaking this game many years ago to me earlier this year, and the way we achieved them is like, I feel like it echoes in many ways, but there is obviously a divide there. So I feel like it's interesting to see what's similar and what's not. Got some decent attempts to Two-Stream Ultra, dude. I believe in you. I believe in you. Congrats on your Cooper Cape PB as well. I saw that. That was like yesterday at like 8, I think. Okay, I'm gonna jump back into. Here we go.
But again, you need just the patience for the type of speedrun that you're doing, especially individual levels like this. Because again, it's brutal. It's just a different mindset. I've made a different contrast to longer form speedruns like Mario 64 that are over an hour long for 120 star. Final Fantasy runs are 5+ hours depending on which game and category that you're doing. So for those games, it requires a different level of patience and tolerance for speedrunning those. So you really have to find what your balance is, what fits the most for what your personality is, and what you're willing to tolerate for, just going through resets and just staying in it for the long term, because
it is all about the long term, as I've touched on before earlier when he said it as well. If you don't have the heart in what you're going for, then you can't stick out long term. You just can't. It's why when I'm playing even individual levels, it's really weird calling them ILs, by the way. I know it's like speedrunning term, but like tracks, they're just tracks. When I'm playing tracks, like time trial hopping, if my heart's not in a track, I can't stick with it. I can't stick it out. And that's why when I find a track that I enjoy playing, Cooper Cape, it's worthwhile to me to just absolutely dive like balls deep into it.
I'm kind of jumping some points I have a little bit later on, but truly, the one that's the most mentally strong and they believe in themselves the most, they're gonna win in the end.
That's me. I feel like it's a fine line between being so confident and being delusional. Being delusional that I could get the glitch for the first time and get the world record without stopping streaming. That's a crazy man goes live and streams like a crazy guy for 3 crazy weeks, and the craziness pays off. It is delusional. You have to have faith in yourself that other people can't see. Right? I started that stream, nobody fucking believed in me because I played this track for a month and a half at that point and I hadn't hit a single glitch. And then 3 weeks later, I had 30 glitches. I was one of the most consistent in the game. I developed the final turn strat. All these things, you have to be delusional. You have to be delusional and just believe in yourself, even when fucking nobody else does.
Because if something doesn't matter,
and I respect people who speedrun Mario Party DS 100% massively for being so dedicated to going through with a 31-hour speedrun. It's actually mental how optimized longer speedruns are. Obviously, there's massive time saves, right? But for being like switched on for that long, it's a very different type of consistency to have. In the same way that the consistency you need in order to do well at time trials is a different type of consistency than you need to achieve for doing like a 32 track speedrun. And obviously that translates and that's extrapolated even more so for a longer time, right? For like a 100% speedrun, for example, of this game.
If you have a fail or not, you have to reset, right? We could throw our hands up, be frustrated, be tilted, and just kind of rage quit for the day. But in the end, the task wasn't achieved, right? That's kind of the brutality is you had at the very end of your run, it was in the clear, and just something happens and you fail your run. It's like, well, too bad, so sad, right? What else can you do?
Literally me with was it the second PB I had on stream? That second PB I had was where I hit the wall and I missed. I think I got like 4th worldwide, but I had like I basically failed 2nd worldwide very early on into the stream. Bro, that rail cut was brutal. But like I said, too bad, so sad. Same happens with, it's not just that track, but like I keep comparing it to Cooper Cape because that's like the most recent big grind I've done. But yeah, you fail Manda Lap 3 and it's like, well, fuck. Like, I've just got to keep going. I can't stop now because I'm so close. I'm getting laps that are 2:18 paces, and then
You
I
can't
stopped anyway.
reverse
So
time and get the run again. You have to restart, and you just have to have that very hard mentality behind you to have this unwavering mentality to never give up until you see your goal in the end.
yeah, unwavering mentality is a great way to put it. I feel like it's you need to be delusional, you need to be stubborn, and you need to have like my thought always when I'm time trialing is if I get a lap once, I can do it again. No lap I get is a fluke. So when I got the point twos on Cooper Cape, when I got my first point two, I was like, okay, that's not a fluke. With that mentality, I took that forward. A couple of hours later, got another point two. All right, if I was just like, oh, that's a fluke, then I wouldn't be playing for a point two level. I'd be playing for lower down. Yeah, I saw EGT. I saw it in the Discord.
That kind of leads to the
very
next
very cool.
point where I put being obsessed with your goal. So I feel like if you're kind of passive with what you're trying to do, it will delay you actually achieving the goal. If you're obsessing about it, if you're thinking about it constantly,
I mean,
that's
I've
the only
touched
thing
on
that's on your mind for
RPC.
gaming
I've
or
touched
speed
on
running,
the obsession side of things.
When you're not
so I
playing,
will
you're
just let this
watching
play out.
streams, you're critiquing and watching other people's gameplay, you're watching your own replay.
But what I will say is it's not just in games, right? It's any goal you have in life. If you become obsessed with it and you surround yourself with material and surround yourself with learning and knowledge and just genuinely fill yourself and become obsessed with it, then you will achieve it. RBC world record, or that's the main one because it does relate to gaming, but that's what I'm missing right now. Right, when I was like last year, when I became when I became not necessarily obsessed with the gym, but like when I filled myself with wanting to become healthier, it didn't take me long to make that mindset switch and become obsessed with like getting healthier, eating better, going to the gym like every day, like actually putting time into giving myself time in life. Wait, Emil BC world record 15 minutes ago? Wait, that's sick. The 0.5? Wait. That is awesome. That is awesome. I don't know what the time cut was, to be fair, because I don't follow BCW. But that is... He's been going for that for a while, to be fair. Batcake's going to be... I don't know, does Batcake... Will Batcake still want to go for the record? I don't know what Batcake's best splits give. I imagine he's not going to give up that easily. It was a 0.608. Oh, damn. Congratulations, Emil. Let's play this obsession bit out.
Back again to learn from that, right?
That's hype. It's been awesome to see so many world records recently.
Accelerate your rate of improvement and eventually exceeding to the highest level, as an example. I would say for myself, I was definitely through and through obsessed with what my goal was for quite a long time, with becoming the best overall time trialer for the game.
That's a very big
and eventually
goal to
succeeding. And again, if you're more passive about things and you're
that's
not
a massive cut, 537 on such an optimized track,
day in and day out on what you're trying to do,
that's
maybe
sick.
you'll eventually get there, but it may take you a lot longer. As an example, next bullet point is belief in yourself. I think that is one of the absolute biggest pillars of the mentality, is the strongest belief in yourself. If you take nothing away from this conversation, let it be this. A very strong belief in yourself, especially when you can't see yourself being at the highest level yet. For me, I always believed that I could do it, but I couldn't visualize myself being at the top. Whether
I think it's very fitting that we're on RBC here. Obviously, I've mentioned this. If you haven't been here for the past, 20, 25 minutes, has been reacting to this. This is exactly what I touched on in like the patience section, 5 minutes before in the video. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to achieve past your dreams, right? So yeah, resounding just agree with Nick
for
here.
an individual course
I've
like
already
this for a world record,
said what I need to say on this, I think.
or being a collective world
Yeah,
champion
what's up,
of
Robbie?
the game. It was hard for me to process and visualize something I've never achieved before. I hope I'm articulating that point the right way. I'm actually quite curious if other speedrunners have actually felt the same as me, where, especially when you're at the very beginning and you feel like you're seeing the potential that you have, but you can't exactly see it there because you never achieved that yet. Where after I set my first world records, I had the proof, the blueprint there that I can do it, right? So I can visualize that. But getting your first one, it's just something else special and fleeting behind it, right? I will get.
Yeah. It is special, and Ace has said this to me before as well. So it's funny that you hear Ace. After the first one, it gives you the confidence to like just be better at the game. It just does. Like, I am so much more confident in my driving on again Cooper Cape, and I feel like partially that is down to, hey, I've had a world record in this game. I'm second worldwide on that track still. I have the leaderboard to back the fact that, like, hey, look, I am actually good, right? I am actually good, and I don't need to like fucking fake it till I make it, because I have fucking made it.
Yeah, a little bit into the story of
Welcome
my
back,
first
Falco.
world record a little bit later, because that's really where I feel like the core mentality and fortitude I built that getting my first 3-lap world record specifically.
That 3-lap record.
Another point here is adapting to the speedrunning landscape of new strategies and gameplay. So through and through, you.
Before we go on, that speed, like, it's maybe inside.
Getting my first 3-lap world record.
Yeah.
Specifically.
I'll never forget crossing that line and how that made me feel. And every time I go back, and yeah, I do it obviously occasionally, go back and watch the clip or watch the YouTube video end to just see my reaction, because it fills me with joy. It fills me so much with joy. It's like, I'll never forget it, because that is the peak of my life in this game so far.
Another point here is adapting to the speedrunning landscape of new strategies
Yeah,
and
this is good.
gameplay.
Adapt
So
quickly is
through and
great
through, you
advice.
could, have what's it called, the sunk cost fallacy or something, where if you invest so much time in something, right, it's kind of hard to let go of that because you're losing.
The phenomenon where a person is reluctant to abandon strategy or course of action because they have invested heavily in it, even when it's clear that abandonment would be more beneficial. Me with Mario Kart Wii in general.
Losing your time
Let's see what Nick has to say
investment,
about
right?
this.
Whereas an example, especially near the very beginning of speedrunning
Happy
history
Easter, everyone.
for a lot of games, a lot of techniques
Happy
are
420.
being pioneered. New strategies are being discovered quite rapidly and more often than not. And so you can practice a strategy for, 10, 100 hours or more. And then suddenly your efforts are obsolete because something completely busted was found, as an example. And
Yeah, I mean, this is a massive thing. I feel like it pertains slightly less now in Mario Kart Wii specifically, because strategies are almost set. Obviously, there's still stuff being discovered every year, which is fucking mental. Mushroom Gorge, like fucking crazy. But like longer game speedruns and games that aren't Mario Kart Wii specifically, so like more optimized speedruns. I'm thinking like Super Mario 64. I mean, any other game, right? These strategies which speedrunners of like longer full games put hours and hours and hours and days into practicing, and then a couple weeks later something else gets discovered, especially in the early parts of a game, it's rough. I can imagine it would be hella rough, and I'm like it's partially rough, but also partially exciting because you don't necessarily. It's almost like you're binking on which strats you want to put more time into, whether you think they're going to get improved or not. I think it's exciting though. I love it when, like, obviously it's frustrating, but I love it when I've learnt a strat and then a new strat gets developed that's faster or like makes that one obsolete, and it's like, okay, wait, this is like, it's bad for me, but it's cool for the game. And I think for me personally, seeing the game progress trumps my own want to be the fastest. The same way that like teaching James the rail cut will make the world record faster, even though it will probably eventually lock me out of getting the world record on RBC.
Then either you lose your world
I want
record
to see the
or
game
someone
progress.
else gets it before you do, right? And so you have to have the right mindset that you have to be adapting with the field and be adapting with how just the game is changing. So people that may know my history for a long time, eventually I fell victim to this where I had a pretty stubborn mentality about a couple of strategy changes in the game that we're watching right now. Eventually, I did adopt a lot of updated strategies when I came back to this game many years removed. But still, I did have that time where I was attached to the time that I spent on older things and not rapidly adapting to new discoveries that were being made. And either you adapt and you excel, or you don't and you're left behind, right? So
it's very true.
You know, it's kind of brutal, but
I think luckily for me in this game specifically, I was never good enough growing up with the game to like learn the fastest strategies and stuff. And now the game's at a point where a lot of the fastest strategies have already been discovered, or like obviously the strategies now are the fastest they've been, clearly, because they were like fucking almost 2 decades into it. So coming back or coming to these tracks with basically a fresh mind, going to keep a cape again, and being like, okay, I'll just learn from the very outset. I'll learn the fastest strategies is quite nice because it means I haven't spent the time sink to learn like the old way of doing streamless, for example, or going around the pipe. Like I've just dived straight in, done the pipe strat, done the fast streamless, like all of this stuff. And it just makes you feel good about going onto a track and setting times that in 2008 would have been world records, or like 2012 would have been world records.
At the highest level,
like getting laps that would rival that.
And so I think that's a very important part about constructing your mentality for this overall.
Relearning is a hassle that you've avoided. I think large part, yes. I completely agree with Nick about being stubborn for strategies, though. When I learn a strategy, I don't want to unlearn it. Like, the RBC pole is like the fast way of getting onto that rail at the start. I struggle and will struggle, have struggled to adopt that, to change what I do in favour of tiles and of what tiles and James does, despite them being, 0.3 faster. And that would just, okay, there's, like, if I learnt that 0.3 straight off the bat, you're getting then flap times on lap 1, and also potentially world record pace runs more often. And I know eventually, when I go for 214, when, not if, I will have to relearn that, and relearning that initial strategy is what's keeping me from it, right? Because I know I'm so consistent at one of the hardest glitches in the game with a slower strat, and the consistency will just drop off a cliff when I eventually have to learn the new strategy.
So also goal setting specifically, so especially getting your first world record, if you're trying to do this right now, you should listen to this. So
okay, Nick,
when I was trying to get my first world record in this game, my first world records, plural, were fast lap world records, still completely valid, but the weight, it felt more getting a 3-lap world record like this as an example. So
the same way, I've had CT world records, but it just doesn't feel like, obviously CT world records like BKTs. It doesn't feel anywhere near as accomplished as a Nintendo track 3-lap record. Because those are the most coveted in the game.
my favorite track in Mario
Glitch or no
Kart
glitch.
is Maple Tree Way. Hopefully I synced this up the right way. My playback just got completely glitched out in any event. This is how I got my first 3-lap world record in
Let's
the
go,
game.
Nick.
If you're trying to do this right now and any type of
CTV
speedrun to
is
get your
like
first
plastic
world
trophies,
record, you
yeah.
should listen to this. So my favorite track is Maple Tree Way, as discussed. And eventually I got to pretty high ranks here. I eventually plateaued at 3rd place. I was behind French player Luna and then Xeno that we're seeing right here for quite a while. And so I reached out to clanmate and legendary Mario Kart time trialer Cole. And
Cole
I asked
mentioned.
him
Let's
literally
go.
almost verbatim, how do I set a world record in the game? Because I was so frustrated because on the one hand, I knew how much potential that I had, but on the other hand, I couldn't close out the deal, right? And so he taught me essentially how the goal set in the proper way. So you want to get to the top here at the world record, the top, right? And you're here kind of going up here, right? And so
With this, it was even more so. Like, it wasn't just getting the world record. Like, what Nick's saying is, like, get the world record and you start here. My goal was, like, get the world record on the hardest glitch category. On the most lucky fucking QM bullshit. And I hadn't even got a glitch. This is where I was starting, this is where I was finishing. But this was the progression of the marathon, right?
So eventually you become good enough, you get the splits and the paces and so on. You have to treat your fails in a certain way. Okay. So if you're on world record pace lap 3 and you crash in the first turn, that's your new PB, right? Now if you're on another run, WR pace lap 3 and you crash turn 2, that's your new PB, quote unquote. Do you follow the pattern here? So
Interesting. That's an interesting way to look at it. I don't do that. What I will touch on is when I did get my world record fails towards the end of the marathon stream, like my genuine world record fails, I was more so happy to have those fails than I was upset at losing a world record run. I was happy in the fact that I knew I was actually going to achieve a world record. Right, and I feel like that's the mentality side of it that is very important to keep and ground yourself with. Rather than getting upset that you've just lost, potentially a record run, it ties back to me thinking and having the mindset of, if I can do a run once, I can do it again. So if I get a world record pace and I fail at, like, let's say lap 3, last turn, I'm not upset that I've lost that run. Obviously, there's a part of me that's upset, but I'm more so excited that, okay, it's happening. Game on time.
it makes it where your fails aren't all for nothing. So I actually listed this bullet point a little bit later, but I guess I'll talk about it now. So another strong part of this mentality is going to be how you approach and handle failing a speed run, right? Where you may think it's so fleeting that maybe you got your new best pace overall or new best splits for any category of a speed run, right? And it's like, on the one hand, it's like, that's my new best. I can't possibly beat it. For me, almost the entire time in my history, I told myself, I did my absolute best. 1, I can do it again. And number 2,
I swear this isn't pre-watched. This is literally what I just said. Yes. Yes,
I know I can do it even better. Because here's the facts. So when you're a new player to speed running for any type of speed game, this or anything else, you're going to be rapidly improving your best splits or best paces overall consecutively, right? And imagine when I was back several seconds behind all these world records here when I set my personal best splits at that time, that I can never get any better, right? If I kept that mentality, I would have stayed there forever, right? You have to just rewire your beliefs. It's kind of is self-feeding all of these different types of concepts that we're discussing. So
I feel like the great thing about speedrunning a game, any game, is that there is no cap. You can push and push and push a time in Mario Kart Wii, a time in a speedrun on other games, so far. There is no such thing as a perfect run. And capping like the time you think you can achieve is only a mental thing. That's truly how I feel. Yo, what's up, Flair? Thank you for the luck. I mean, I'm not really doing anything right now, but I appreciate it anyway.
Fails as motivating, one, for how far you get before the finish line in this game, or before the very end for any other form of speedrunning, right? And number two, not for nothing, but if you're failing at the very end a lot of times for a world record, it may be frustrating, yes, but also you're showing how consistent you are, right? If you just get one random world record fail and it's never to be ever again, then that was just almost like a fluke in a way. But if you're getting fails again,
I said this before in the video, I don't believe in flukes. I don't believe in flukes. If I can get a lap time once, I can do it again. And if I can get a lap time once, I can replicate that 3 times in a row.
You have to really just...
That's why as soon as I hit that point 2, I was like, wait, I can get a 218
because again,
on Cooper Cave.
I've seen just in the past,
because it is,
players who
I have that belief in myself.
Great, and they can excel
even though I
at
didn't have the lap
level.
2 splits at that point.
What eventually you become fast enough. You can do it. 100% you can. But what's going to separate there from actually doing it is having this on straight, which is what we're talking about this entire video.
I mean, having this on straight is one thing, but having this like slightly unhinged is like almost... it depends what you're going for, but like having it slightly unhinged is, I think, maybe a requirement for certain categories.
If you
or in the way that I
in
achieved
a much
it.
better place, a lot stronger, and you know how to just rewire how you're approaching things, eventually your time will come and you definitely will succeed. It's funny how it has it that after I had that conversation with Cole and YouTube PMs of all things way back in the day in 2009, it was, I think, a month or less after that point, and I converted for my first 3-lap world record, and the rest is history. And so honestly, that was in November 2009. I'm recording this right now, April 2025, right? That's over 15 plus years later.
Oh, don't say that. We're so old. I'm so old, man.
That conversation that me and Cole had.
I'm so old.
And that mentality and that framework today.
I joined this community young.
How
I was young in this
was.
community.
I feel like if I never had that advice, maybe I could have eventually had some of these feats, but I feel like just having that framework, it almost had immediate results, at least for me. So again, just try to have new benchmarks for yourself, and if anything, when you're sitting down for a session, always find something positive out of the session, right? Maybe you got no new best splits, no significant paces, right? But maybe you're consistently hitting a tech that's hard, right? Or at least your rate of speed was still pretty decent, right? You have to keep that positive mindset going to filter into future attempts, because I think eventually that momentum snowballs, and then that momentum,
I think staying positive, especially on a long grind,
a very long period of time. Right?
Hold on, what was that Shrooms trap, by the way? Staying positive, especially on long grinds, is half the mental battle. Because without it, you spiral downwards. We saw that on Cooper Cape when as like the day that it broke me. If I just don't stay positive, don't get my head out of my ass and like smile, then I leave the track. I think that's why I try to to stay on tracks that make me happy, because I know that as soon as a track doesn't give me that fulfillment, doesn't give me that joy, I'm going to play worse, and then it snowballs downwards. Yeah.
So, another thing too that kind of filters into that too is just accepting critique and feedback from your fellow player base. So, again, even if people may have slower times or paces than you, or people that are faster than you, I feel like for me, when I was younger, at least for a little while, honestly, I was a little too proud, right? I wanted just to, just have a chip on my shoulder and just prove everything to myself and not ask for any help or anything else like that, right? But eventually that doesn't really work out too well. It's not really sustainable, right? And
I joined in 2012.
Again,
I don't know when.
I think
it must have been like 11 or 12 when I joined this community. I was young.
Is just, helping one another, right? And again, I think that only elevates the entire player base, and I think it'll also help your own endeavors too, overall. So,
I started playing in the summer of
points here as well,
year 6.
But again, critiquing
year
your
6,
own
year 7.
gameplay is huge. So for me, if I had a fail,
just quickly touch on that last point, critiquing, letting other people's critique your own gameplay to improve, 100%, 100%. Obviously, that is a huge part of, like, I know that the fastest way to learn for me is someone teaching me a track. I like going into a track blind and just figuring out the fastest way to do it. I enjoy that, but for the Nintendo tracks, the strategies are already set. The fastest strategies have been like refined down so much, and like so precisely into where they are now, that having anyone who's better at you at the track, but especially like people who are on the worldwide tops, teach you a track is going to be so infinitely helpful. And we saw that personally from Waluigi Stadium. Falco and Ace both in chat. Let's go, big up. Thank you for the hydrate.
At all, I would study it ad nauseum until I understood what went wrong, how to fix it, never do it again. I was hyper analytical and critical about how I was failing runs. I was quite brutal about it. If I didn't understand...
See, the thing is, I don't really do this. I don't particularly critique my own runs, because I don't like to dwell on the fails. I'm just like, okay, I've got that fail. Like, I know that... Like, I know how it fails. I just don't go into detail about, like, okay, how do I correct it? It just kind of... through brute force, I just managed to correct it anyway, I guess. Although, to be fair, more recently I actually have, because since I've downloaded Service Pack, did you redeem self timeout? Oh, sorry, dude. 07 to you, my good sir. Since downloading Service Pack on my Wii, anytime I've had like a major thing that I'm like, okay, this isn't working, like I need to practice this, I have the ability to go and practice it, like Manda, like the Shroomless. It's such a good tool to critique yourself, especially because you can also see the inputs and the inputs that you're doing wrong. Equally, live streaming those inputs to people that are good at the track, like Ace and stuff, and having them tell you, okay, you need to fucking hold left later, whatever. Or like you're not doing drift storage, blah blah blah. Infinitely helpful. It's. I guess in that regard, I do critique my own gameplay and allow others to critique it as well.
Why a run failed, I was very
maybe that's why.
frustrated.
Like,
and I feel like just having that,
it's been
just
better
different
recently.
Outlook, it helped me just to excel my average gameplay and to be more consistent overall. Also, just watching other players that are faster or slower than you for ways to improve. So again, as I mentioned earlier, if I'm not playing, you should be watching streams, videos, studying your own gameplay or others as well. I would actually, on the players page forums, if there's ever a new PB that people record their time trials on YouTube, I would watch them, even if they're like a second or more slower than me, because I felt like there's always a little bit of a sliver of something that I could possibly pick up on, right? Both also on that end, but if they're a second or more faster than me, I may not exactly understand how they're being that fast yet, but just visually watching and analyzing it over and over
I don't know yet, Ace.
It will eventually help me to perform better. So I definitely think that's a very useful part of your time overall for the goals that you set.
I don't know what I would time trial if I was going to.
Here's another thing too. So what's going to be separating, especially in the modern
What I will say, just touching on that point, Ace said the exact same thing during his World Record Mentality segment of the stream. Watching other players, huge help. I do watch other players and other runs and stuff,
using all the useful
but not
tools
as much
for efficient practice.
Clearly,
so I'm from the era
Nick
of 2008 to 2012, mid 2012, my most active time period for the game when I excelled. And at that time, Dolphin Emulator was not really popular. Number one, number two, technology was way outdated compared to now.
Yeah.
You think running 1080p or higher clean Dolphin Emulator is like nothing to bat an eye at, but with old technology and hardware, that was like really expensive, like prohibitively expensive for younger people like myself when I was 16, 17, no job, right? And so those practice tools weren't around. You couldn't really.
This is what I love about.
So it's just everything in the game.
Love about service
now
pack.
At this point, we have emulator, save states, tasks helping us with dissecting different strats, right? There's at least for this game, there's MKW SP, an awesome distribution that also allows for in-game console save stating to practice things more efficiently. So you have to be willing to adapt with what's out there to make practice more efficient.
I'm so fucking happy the service pack
If I had these tools at my
if I didn't have service pack, I wouldn't be anywhere near as good as I am right now.
disposal 15 years ago, that would exponentially expedited my practice.
He's just watched the World Record Mentality vid. Actually, though, yeah, no. One of my first subs is nmeade. You know what I will say is that. Okay, Nick, I'm not going to accuse you of anything. Quick tangent. Okay. Okay, right. You ready, guys? I want you to look at this. Look at this thumbnail. I want you to look at this thumbnail. Mario Kart World. Wow. I want you to look at this thumbnail. Okay? Do you notice something similar? I uploaded mine a couple hours later. He uploads his. Okay? Bro, I get it.
Practice and efficiently practicing different strats and techniques. So
no, service pack is actually like massively helpful. Coming back to the actual video.
Have hardware that can run things fairly okay, then I say by all means pursue whatever is necessary to make your practice much more efficient. Went through the time
I copied him, yeah, for sure.
Before. So let's kind of talk about
this. I copied him when I uploaded before, bro. Don't worry.
Just the reason why that I think just all these aspects of your mentality, it helps you to succeed at the
non-original thumbnail format. Fuck.
Is because in the end, nothing matters until the goal is achieved.
No, I saw it and I was like, okay, there's two possibilities here. Either he's seen my thumbnail and done a similar thumbnail, which is kind of based, or we've come up with the exact same thumbnail independently, which is also kind of based.
Right?
Like either way, I'm like, it's a compliment to me. So
you could
whatever.
fail like this,
or like
at the finish line on this track, right? That last spin drift into the finish line, my main turbo has released and had no wheelie out and crashed in the wall right in front of the finish line. I've had roll.
It's fucking horrific when that happens, man. It's fucking horrific when lap 3 you fall off the track spin drifting. What an experience that most players won't experience at a world record level on this track.
world record fails recorded of that multiple times.
That's crazy.
Past, mid to low 231 paces in 2011. Quite brutal. So I had that experience, right? And in the end, it didn't matter.
I think luckily I didn't have a world record fail.
Right? Again,
to that end.
If you boil it down, it seems kind of just.
I had the second worldwide fail.
I don't know if it's cliche or another word, but let's look at it literally, right? Like these world records, right? If I stopped the try before on all of these runs wouldn't have happened. Sure, maybe if I kept playing longer on separate days, maybe I would have achieved some of these accolades, but these specific runs, if I stopped that session right before, wouldn't be seeing these right now, right? And so the one who sticks out the most, I feel like, is almost a good level of stubbornness, which I've had a lot back in the day.
Yeah,
being so stubborn that I continue to push myself to finally get the time.
So especially with tracks that have like human RNG, which is obviously like most tracks, especially at this point playing at a high level, but you just have to be stubborn.
No matter how long
in order to achieve your times,
to be, right? If it takes you months and months, who's the most mentally strong to withstand just the mental fatigue of speedrunning until getting the world record and the goal that you have, right? Because again, if you check out too soon, I'm sorry, but too bad, so sad that the task wasn't achieved, right? And so
nonchalant.
You just have to have that belief in yourself and
but
just
not
the
all
willingness
masochistic.
to continue to go until you see out your goal being
not
achieved.
all of us.
Let's see. Here's a big one. Okay, a big part of mentality as well is in general with speedrunning. Let's say you're very close to getting world record, right? But then you have other people competing with you, right? Where they have either the same skill as you or maybe a little bit better, right? And you're thinking, this is my prime shot, my prime opportunity to get in there and get world record before it's out of reach, right? I've had at times too where I've had similar type of situations, and eventually the world record was pushed before I got a chance to get it myself. Now it's even further out of reach. How frustrating is that, right? Well, again, how bad do you want this, right? Are you gonna throw your hands up and just quit because it's too far out of reach, or are you gonna say,
no, Nick, I won't do that. What I'll do is I'll go live for 3 weeks straight until I get a world record. Take that, James. What, you thought I had a life? No life for me.
Hey, you know what? That's cool, but I could do even better than that, right? And I did that quite a few times. So again, you have to, how much do you want this goal? That's such an important thing to get down, honestly. And again, I feel like healthy competition is great because it pushes you as a player to get even better than what you thought you were.
Agreed. I feel like competition, healthy, active competition, especially at the very, very pinnacle of this game's time trial scene, is amazing to both experience from the outside. So, like, for example, Flam versus Tiles on Mushroom Gorge currently, and also experience from the inside, talking between myself, Tiles, and James, obviously, for RBC. It pushes you to really pick up strategies and refine much quicker and try and push your time down with much more vigor than if it was just you versus you. Yeah.
Prior to that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh,
it's cool to see that so many people going for Rainbow Road 3 for 3, by the way. I wonder why that's like been picked up by everyone suddenly. I know that Beanzard obviously had that 3 for 3. Are people going for a record, or are they just going for a 3 for 3 run?
Oh, another thing too. So, let's say when you're already on top, how do you continue to be motivated to improve for your own world record, right? That was one of the biggest mental blocks I had for a while. So I could get world records, but I could never improve my own world record for quite a while. And it's like when you're the best and you're at the top of the mountain, how do you possibly?
My records have always been beaten within like 2 days.
Push yourself further. I think that's a different type of mentality too, where at that point it's two things: you're trying to push it out of range to be threatened, but also trying to utilize your full potential. I think what's more sustainable is trying to go for your full potential, where you may have world record, but what's going to be satisfying for you to watch? Because I've had times where it looks like a giant visual eyesore to me watching a mistake, right? And one of those RBC world records, I had a bad landing on lap 2, and I wanted to just delete my save and not upload the world.
Literally me with my first world record, but like, like I hit the fucking grass after the hairpin lap 3, and I was like, is this really gonna world record? Like, there's almost a point where I don't want it to record, because having that immortalized not only as a world record, but as my very first world record at the very end of the longest grind I've ever had, it's like, it's very bittersweet. Very bittersweet.
I hated that. It was 231.752, that one, I believe. So
that being said, I didn't hate it.
That could drive you. Do you want absolute perfection? I think that's more sustainable.
I think, touching on this, I don't think absolute perfection is ever going to happen, but having a run that you're mentally happy to leave it at, even if that ends up being not a world record in the future, is a much better and healthier place to leave it at. I think with me on RBC, getting that second run of mine when I was in call with James, that was again form world record, the second world record I had. That run is so much more consistent overall. It's so much more. I'm so much happier. Like, if something happened to me tomorrow, lost both my hands, I'd be happy to leave RBC where it is and never touch it again.
Sustainable, just trying to push your own limit independent of the entire competition behind you. Kind of wrapping things for just, we kind of constructed what I think goes into a strong mentality for speed running and how to break world records in speed running. I think something valid that's a part of the mentality still in your mindset is drawing healthy inspiration from others that have come before you. So for me, when I joined the players page in 2008, Alvin Van Assel was #1 overall world champion for America Wii.
That's a throwback
name. And I thought, that's so cool, but I can never beat him. And so it's funny how it goes in the end. But I drew a lot of
humble
inspiration
brag
from him with how dedicated he was to his craft. Also with Bubbles as well, shout out Steve as well, man. I competed with him and I beat him for #1, and we battled for a little bit there, and that was such a fun world record battle too. Also shout out to Jorge as well. That's kind of more of a longer history with that, but still Jorge pushed me more than beyond my limits that I thought possible at the time as well. And I drew a lot of inspiration from world champions and world record holders from older Mario Kart games for me specifically. So I wrote a lot of names down that I looked to in the past. So KVD, Sammy Seaton, Guillaume Leviach, MJ, Matthias, MK Dasher, TB1, Abel, Andy Lundin, Sebastian Stelmacher, Richard Carlson.
Me waiting for my name to come up.
Peter Benarioa, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right, sorry about that. Andreas Rudmarker, Aaron Langerak, Michael Fried, Tim Shelbourne, and Louis Benny as well. All the legends here from...
Excuse me? Unsubbed, unliked.
America Wii and older Mario Karts as well. I was a fiend for forum posts and threads.
What are those names listed for? These are the names of old school Mario Kart players that he was like drew inspiration from.
And seeing what people were doing and getting after their times overall for speedrunning. And when I had lulls in my motivation and my drive, I would get a lot of inspiration from seeing other players perform at the highest.
Well, look, I was going to say I was inspired by Nick, but it's just not true.
And again, before I got to the top...
Oh, it's a cheater. Anyway.
I saw who came before me and what I can learn from them. So, again, I would just see them posting PB after PB, maybe some fails that they had or new best splits, and it was just cool. It felt really connected, especially because you're seeing other parts of Mario Kart speedrunning for me. Maybe for other speed games out there, there's like different types of Mario games or Zelda games where maybe you can watch someone's streams or maybe hear them talk for a longer period of time, just unscripted, not a forum post or a Discord.
I do like watching streams of this game, especially like back in the day when I time trialed this game. I'd also have a stream of this game open. Usually with someone time trialing, just talking over it. Whether that was Nick back in the day, a certain someone who played RDS. It was nice to just have someone talking, even if it wasn't about the game, like usually 100% of the time, just having, like almost playing parallel with someone else is like a great experience, right? It fuels the fire to...
And you can really hear what's going through their mind,
keep playing, because
right?
it feels like you're not playing on your own, even though it's
constructing your own strong mentality for
especially
speedrunning is kind of your
solo endeavor,
picking
right?
and grabbing, so to say, from different people, and you're kind of putting it into your own pot, and you're seeing how you can just construct your motivation and your mentality to never quit until you get to your goal overall. But yeah, I mean, we went through a lot here today. Again, this wasn't scripted at all, just the bullet points that I had here. I felt like just something unscripted like this would be the most genuine take. Of course, there's a giant alarm out.
Genuine?
Sorry about that. The loud fire trucks outside were so distracting. So, in any event, I've wanted to make this mentality video for years now. I talked about it on stream.
Oh, have you now? Oh, have you now, Nick? I think you've been wanting to make this video since March 2025, my friend.
And other YouTube videos in the past, and I thought about scripting something out in those years past, but I felt like just
I'm already kidding.
Open conversation for this was kind of my most genuine take on this topic. And really my hope with this entire video is someone that is upcoming in speedrunning, that I can help their mentality and goal set better, and then just have a stronger mindset for getting out there, whatever goal you happen to have. Maybe you just want to see a certain type of run that you want. Maybe you want to get a run with hitting a certain strat in there and completing it, right? Maybe you want to be, a certain threshold of like top 100, top 50, top 10, etc. for overall for your game, or for Mario Kart leaderboards as an example. Or maybe you're very, very competent at your speed game and you're right within striking distance of world record. I'm talking to you guys because I've been there.
I thought he said I'm talking to you, Maniac. That would have been a call out. That would have been a call out. Fuck.
I know how frustrating it is.
I would have dropped dead. I won't lie. I would have dropped dead. Halloween's right around the corner. I would have.
Your wheels. I get it. It's like pulling your hair out.
I'm talking to you, Maniac. Fuck.
It's like, why can't I complete this? Because I know I can do it, right? And I'm telling you, it's worth it. Get this wired very strong. Once you get your first one, I promise you, all the other ones thereafter, it's a little bit different. The first one is always the hardest to do, and once you get that done, you prove to yourself that you made your goal, you invested that time, you did your research, practice, got some good.
So are we just gonna say that he didn't rip off Ace bar for bar? Are we just gonna say that? Are we? Look, Nicholas Meade, I'm a fan of your work, okay? I'm a fan of your streams. Hydration Nation, big up. Wakanda forever.
Feedback, you critique your own gameplay, right, and everything else. And despite all the fails, all the frustrating moments, all the times that I had to want to throw my hands up and completely quit and say the heck with it all, right? What's even the point of this? I hope I've gotten through to you in a positive way, because again, I said it earlier.
Yeah, Ace Attorneys.
I feel like if I didn't have that conversation with Cole in 2009, who knows? Maybe I would have never gotten past my own self here to do all of this that we're watching today and everything else that I've done in my history. Because again, nothing is more gratifying for making such scary goals that you think you can never do, and then people come along, they push your goal way further out of reach, where it's like, well, I can't possibly do that now, right?
That's actually very true. Like when I first set my eyes on N64 Bowser's Castle glitch world record, my heart on it, on trying to get a record, I knew that was the record I could go for. The time was only Logan's first time. It was at like I think it was 219. When I wanted it, and seeing it get pushed lower and lower and lower to like eventually a 216.2. Like when I came to the track mid last year, it was like, I think James had a 217.0, and I was like, okay, improvable. When I like seriously started grinding, it had been pushed down to a 216.2. And it just made the whole grind obviously take longer, but be so much more rewarding, because I'm so much happier with the time I have now, regardless of the fact it's not even world record currently. I'm so much happier knowing that I've pushed the time down to a point where I am happy with my own run. Again, it's the thing about competition, right? It's the thing about driving the time, whether it's an individual level time or a full game run. Like I'm gonna jump over to a completely separate run that I haven't even talked about. Is the NC4 New Super Mario Bros. Wii speedruns. So a big reason why I've pushed my time there down so low is because Sam Hypnoshark had a time that was like 25:54 or something, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna beat that. I'm gonna get the sub because I wanted sub for a while, and I'm not just gonna get the sub. I'm gonna beat that time. And so I beat that time, and that's what pushed me. That's what pushed me.
I'm talking to you guys, okay? So I know how frustrating it is, but stay in the good fight here, okay? Because speedrunning is amazing, and I wouldn't have been gaming in this way for as long as I have if it wasn't something that I really enjoy.
Do you really?
And clearly, if you're watching this, you really enjoy.
Do you guys want to see
this yourself, or maybe you've been curious about what goes into someone's mind at the highest level of gameplay like this for speed.
And if you are curious about what goes into someone's mind, check out this video that was uploaded before.
Running. What really sets someone apart from good to great to elite and world record level, right? What's the X factor of it all? And today, I think we did a pretty good discussion of what I think goes into a very strong
show me
mentality
some Super Mario 64.
Pursuits
About that,
and
Chief.
efforts. Fellas,
I used to be
that's all
decent.
I got today.
Not anymore, though.
So hopefully you enjoyed this more longer, open form talking videos like this. Again, if you got something away positive from this, that's all I hope for with this. But still, more videos on the way. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Peace.
There we have it. Nicholas Meade on mentality. I mean, going through that pretty much the entire the entire time, I'm agreeing with every single point he's made. A lot of it does obviously mirror what Ace has said in that other record mentality video, and I don't think that's necessarily because Nick's like watched that video, right, and just fucking written stuff down for down. Everything that Ace said and everything Nick said and everything I agree with and have built upon is because it works, right? That's how you achieve it. I think what's different between the way Ace and Nick have that mentality and what I do, or what I did to get my record, is I did it in a way stupider way. I like the obsessive aspect of wanting to get that record was. It wasn't like being obsessed that I came home from work or came home from school and played it for 8 hours a day and then slept. I was obsessed to the point where I stopped working entirely for 2 weeks. But it was worth it. Overall, it was worth it. 100% it was worth it. Getting that first world record, and especially the second one as well. But getting the first world record, it's like nothing compares to it, man. Nothing compares to it. And I will also. I just want to watch a reaction here.
Yes, 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 yes!
Nothing makes me happier than fucking watching that video, man. Or like hearing that reaction, I should say. With that being said, I don't think I have much more to add. What I will say is that right now I've finished the video script. No, that's a lie. I finished the draft of the video script for the marathon video. Like going over the marathon stream. It's a long one. It's a long one. The script itself right now, without being flushed out with emotion and stuff, is... I think it's like 17 pages, which is kind of absurd. But I'm really looking forward to it. Hey, yo, you finished a what? Okay, it's currently 3:30. I'm gonna dip again. The only reason I wanted to react to this is because I was gonna go to, like, as I was trying to sleep. Well, I wasn't trying to sleep. I kind of woken up at this point and was laying down. I was gonna just watch this on my own, but as soon as Nick, I think it was like 5 minutes or something in, said like, oh, I'm curious whether anyone else has had this, I was like, okay, I might as well just react to it with you guys here. So I mean, thank you for hanging out. That was a hour-and-a-half reaction to a 40-minute video, so I do feel like I added some input of my own. Ace, are you gonna be going live again? Are you gonna be going live again? We could raid off to old Ace. Yeah. Okay, let's see if anyone's streaming Mario Kart Wii. That deserves a little raid here. You get some rest, lad. To be fair, raid Chuck, Rainbow Road Mogan, Rainbow Road, Retro Rewind Mogan, CT Worldwides. Oh wait, do you mean King Chuckster? There's two Chucks. There's Chuckerson. There's King Chuckster. Here we go, guys. Oh, you want Chuckers? Oh my goodness, why not? Fuck it. Here we go. Mogies and CT Worldwides. Chuckson 420. Go show some love. /raid. I will see you all later. Thank you so much for hanging out. Go and like Nick's video. Bye everyone.